Hello, everybody, and welcome to show number 4. This is the Inner Flame, the Ascension Symptoms Support Group, the Peacekeepers. Well, hello again, and thanks for stopping by to listen to yet another show. I'm not still quite sure where all of this is going, but I'm going to keep on keeping on until something kind of comes to me and I know where to take all of this, as I say each time. But it's good to have you back listening to yet another show. I'm not really sure of today's agenda. There's been quite a few things that have transpired since the last show, and maybe I'll touch on a few of those subjects. So since the last show, I've made the group, but it was a joint decision within the group that we would actually make the group private, so no one could see the posts and no one could see our individual posts, because kind of as discussed, it was really a case of this is just a great place for some of us to release and express without being ridiculed or fingers being pointed at, because not everyone in our lives necessarily knows who we are. Sadly, I don't think my family knows exactly who I am. They got a good clue, and they got a darn good idea as to a big chunk of me, as to who I am. But all of me, no, I don't think they do. And nor do a lot of my friends. Possibly one person here, Rick, he knows me more than most on some levels. But I don't know really who completely knows me. There you go. So we've made the group private, so feel free to join in, express and talk away without ridicule of your friends and family, because they're not going to see it, because they're not in here, because the group is private. So that's a fantastic thing. So I have to be honest, I mean, like I said on the group the other week, that since I've been a member of this group and the conversations that we've actually had, I have just literally felt myself opening up leaps and bounds and rising above many things that typically in my life would have truly affected me. So I'm not there yet, but I've just, this group for me has been great. I kind of feel like I'm hitting my stride a little bit with the podcasts and what have you. It's nice to instigate questions and some deeper thought. And I think the great thing is, because I'm not there myself, I'm not speaking necessarily from a place of authority. So therefore, telling you the way that it is, it's almost like I'm exploring the world alongside you. So I enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy it too, being a member here. I know a few of you have expressed the very same thing, to which I am extremely grateful. And, this is an amazing year to be alive, and just with all the changes, all of the transformations that are taking place this year, it's great to be on the same group with all of you as we go through this together. Facebook.com/groups/The Inner Flame. Welcome to The Inner Flame, a podcast about what drives you, about the spiritual journey and the truth that rings true in your heart. Let's take a walk together and grow together. We will talk and kick about the ideas and concepts, allowing you to come to your own conclusions. No shouting, we are all equal here. As time goes on, I will do my very best to make this a good production value show where there's not too much ums and ahs, and a little bit more breaking up in between topics with audio stingers. I think that's called a stinger. I don't know. I'm not in with all the radio jargon. I just love doing this stuff. Now, I wasn't too sure as to what really I should be talking about this show. Literally, between pausing, going downstairs, grabbing something to eat, Lisa, and just on a side topic right here, because this is now a private group, I still think I'm just going to use probably first names instead of the full name, because I'm putting the podcasts out there for people to hear, and I don't necessarily want people to know specifically who I'm talking about. So if I just use a first name, because there's lots of people here by the same name, so we'll be able to get around that without people being able to point fingers, which is why we made the group private to begin with. So I came up after literally grabbing a quick bite and something to drink, and a response to a rather long post as to my absence for the last few days, and it kind of progressed. What I said was second but last post, the penultimate post, was, I think when you get knowledge and understanding, fear leaves and empowerment replaces the fear. I think fear comes from the mindless watching of the news and the stories we are constantly being bombarded with, and we never question. There are lots of ways around the fluoride, about the financial issues, and maybe I'll dig up some info and just touch on some of these subjects during the shows. Now, there's a lot of controversial stuff in here, so again, for me to say this is the best way or this is the way is probably the wrong approach, but there are people that are legitimately worried about things that really they should be concerned about, in my opinion. You know, everyone just takes it for granted, but when you look at the larger picture, and some of this stuff is getting away from the spiritual aspect, it's my belief that even though we are spiritual beings living this physical existence right now to traverse the classroom of life and what have you, I think we need to not only wake up spiritually, but I think we need to wake up responsibility-wise and realize what we're doing to ourselves, what we're doing to the planet, and how a lot of this can be changed and changed for the better. I think that's what a lot of the 60s were. You know, a lot of the 60s were a little bit misguided, but it had strong positive intentions behind it that it kind of lost power, you know, as we went into the late 60s, early 70s. And even though I was born in 65, I still get it. So Lisa responded, "Andrew, that would be great. I have been looking for guidance for both spiritual and the other. My husband thinks it is part of our responsibility to enlighten the world to what is going on. We've talked about not pushing the knowledge, but talking about it, and I've said he should just leave it if someone doesn't want to know. Same here for the spiritual. We are all only ready for things at our own pace." Dee and I have had exactly the same conversations, and it is a really tough subject because, you know, the reason I created this group compared to the other group was the other group was saying that this is the way, this is the way, this is the way, and that's not how you wake up people. That's just how you, pardon my French, piss off people, really. And you need to plant the seed and walk away. So I think the best way, one of the best ways I have found in my lifetime is, surprisingly, I've brought up subjects with people that never in a million years would I have considered talking to them about these things, and they've been quite receptive. But then that's it, I just leave it alone, I don't push it, and sometimes it's just hinting at a possibility or hinting at the likelihood of this or that, and then you walk away, and if they're in your lives anymore, they'll broach the subject again when they're ready. Yeah, it really is a tough subject. So it's easy with my kids because they know dad just talks a lot anyway. Sometimes dad just talks, but it doesn't matter because I know then at least I've planted the seed, and you know, they can take it and run with it. They're there, they've been primed, and when they're ready to grow, the seed will grow and it will sprout into whatever it's going to sprout into, but at least they've been primed. As for family and friends, by doing so, I've actually, this past year, I've found 2 people that surprisingly were on the very same page as I was. One is a good friend, Jen, who's in this group, and Rick, who's also in this group. I don't know if Rick's in this group. I might have to invite him. But yeah, you know, those 2 people, Jen and I got onto quite an in-depth conversation when she came to visit me delivering some cookies at my workshop one day. Little did I know that we were both of the same mindset. Just amazing. But then other people, you just, you know, they look at you like you're from outer space, and that's when sadly you have to live and let live. and on you go.
Hello there, welcome to the show. I'm having a really weird time listening to this guy. He's really hard to understand. Anyway, I better get out now. I gotta go find me pot of gold. See you later.
Oh, that brought back some memories. That's from an old podcast back maybe 1996 or thereabouts. Just incredible. I've had quite a few podcasts over the years, and that was a filler that I created. Got to find out all the terminology. I almost sound professional, so I might as well know what it actually all the real terminology is. Yeah, so that was from a show a long time ago, and it was just really recounting the stories from my life. It was a podcast ultimately that someday I was going to give to my kids, but I turned the stories into blog posts. So when it's time, I'll actually be able to give my two children, Gavin and Emma, the stories that I've typed out. So there you go. I'm gonna have to dig at some other stuff to see if any of those bits and pieces would be relevant to the show. A lot of it not. A lot of it was really, really goofy, silly stuff. I had the grumpy monster alien guy. I had the tea lady. The tea lady was fun. The British tea lady, had her own podcast as well because she was so popular. People would send in letters about helpful, handy household hints around the house, how to clean this and that around the house with the tea lady. Obviously, all it was me. I adjusted my voice and I sound like a British tea lady. And I was actually in character. And I sounded a cross between my Aunt Sally and one of my aunts and one of my nans. And it was just all three of them combined, really, to create this character. Actually, let me see if I can dig up that one, and I'll put it in here. So please excuse my indulgence right now, but it might help raise the vibration of goofy silliness vibration about the show. So there you go. I found some roundabout rough method to bring it all together in one cohesive mess. Here you go with the Tea Lady from a show I think back in 1996.
Ooh, today's show certainly seems to be picking up, doesn't it? Oh, it's very nice. I absolutely loved Mr. Depressed Alien Monster Guy's love tips. He is, I think secretly down deep inside, he is a bit of a love doctor. It's his deep green smouldering eyes, and it's his 42-inch arms and his 96-inch chest, I think, that kind of does it for me. Anyway, it's lovely to see you again. Funny story. Something happened to me the other day. Is I'm pouring tea. Actually, yesterday it was Valentine's Day, wasn't it? Well, I was there, and I was pouring tea for the workers down in the tea room. Wasn't I? Yeah, I got special heart-shaped biscuits. I made them specially just for the occasion. I brought them in for everyone to share. It was lovely. You should have been there. Anyway, cut a long story short, I was just about to take the tea cozy off of the teapot, and what was there? A rose with a little note saying, "From your secret admirer." I'm not sure who did it, but Mr. Bigwig upstairs, he's been acting awfully strange these last few weeks. I think it's the new raw sugar that I'm putting in his tea. I used to use white sugar, and these days when I put sugar and a raw in it, I think it's making his emotions a little bit raw, if you know what I mean. Anyway, it was lovely to see you again. Come back soon, and don't be a stranger, okay? Bye.
Wow, so that's some really good memories from many years ago. I love acting goofy. As I was talking on the Facebook page the other day, it just, I'm always the one making the jokes or doing the impersonations back home in the UK, and now I come here, all the impersonations that I used to do are not really relevant, Back with my family back there, it was it was the thing to do, and I was hardly ever serious. And it seems a lot these days I'm more serious than not, and I don't think life is to be taken too seriously too much of the time. So anyway, that was from 1996, I believe, 1998, the Tea Lady. And maybe we'll have the Tea Lady back on the show. Who knows? Maybe she'll come on, and maybe we'll get her to read out the astrological charts or something, you know. So there might be a way to work her back in. And also the depressed monster alien guy, who knows. And there's also grumpy Second World War guy. He's a bit of a handful. I'll have to dig him out, see if I can find him somewhere on this computer of mine. So, you know, I want to keep it serious. I want to learn. I want to grow. But at the same time, why not have a bit of fun? And why not have a little bit of comedic relief? But as long as we stay on point and it doesn't turn into one big comedy fest here, I think we'll be fine. Anyway, so that's that. On with the show. So earlier this morning, I was listening to Coast to Coast, as I often do, and I came across some absolutely amazing information. I just had to share it with you guys, with all of you, and to make sure that you knew this as well. So I think I'm going to be doing this to my car. I had absolutely no idea. So being that alcohol is 50 to 60 cents a gallon cheaper than regular gasoline, I won't tell you. I will actually play the audio on my iPhone so that I can record it here on the podcast, and hopefully you find it just as amazing as I did. So here's the part of the show.
Let's go to Los Angeles. Ross is with us, and thank you for holding. Ross, go ahead.
Hi, great.
Hi, Ross.
David, I wanted to thank you. There's a couple of things I wanted to say, but you mentioned the last show, I think it was. You said that you could put 50%. You could put 50% of your tank gas and 50% of it alcohol. So I got 5 gallons of gas and 5 gallons of alcohol in my tank, and it runs better than ever.
Yeah, you'll have more horsepower. The engine runs cooler with less vibration. And the only thing is you might lose a little bit of mileage, but since alcohol is so much cheaper, that's no big deal. That's something they won't tell you. You know, basically out there at the gas pump or at the dealers, is that the car you're driving now, the average everyday fuel-injected car, will run on 50% alcohol, and get this, with absolutely no modifications. You don't have to buy anything from me. You don't have to buy anything from anyone else. You can just put the alcohol in your tank up to 50%. Now, where do you get it? Go to our website, alcoholcanbeagas.com, and we have a free station finder in the upper right-hand corner. You just click on that, put in your zip code, and you can find a station near you that's selling you alcohol for 50, 60, 70 cents a gallon cheaper than gasoline.
Yeah, and I actually have it in my RV. It's a 1970. I have to replace an exhaust gasket, but it was really, I basically, it was such pollution. It was just, I couldn't hardly drive it. Now that I have the alcohol in there, I hardly even notice it. It's so much cleaner. But
yeah, alcohol will, if you're running E85, 85% alcohol, or like me, I like to run 98% alcohol, you're talking about unmeasurable pollution. You're talking 98% less than gasoline. And I tell you, I feel much better being part of the solution than being part of the problem.
Well, that's a good point. We're seeing Wisconsin we go. Tim.
Absolutely amazing. I hope you were astounded just as much as I was. I'm going to put a link here on the website to that particular gas station locator, just because it was a bit of a pain. It's not a great website, so it was a bit of a pain to navigate to. So there you go. So on August 3rd on Coast to Coast Radio, coasttocoastam.com, George Norrie interviewed Peter Sterling, and in the first half, harpist and lifelong student of the paranormal, Peter Sterling discussed his encounters with angels and other celestial beings and the profound changes that his contact with multidimensional reality had on his life. Sterling recalled a period 20 years ago when he decided to rid himself of possessions and embark on a spiritual quest to Sedona, Arizona, and apparently it was there in the profound silence and isolation of the canyon walls that he believes his spirit was awakened by angels. They unveiled the holographic nature of reality and helped him tune into inner music, he said. According to Sterling, the angels revealed the glorious source of the music as well as his mission in life, to be a harpist channeling this heavenly sound. The angels taught him to play music that can instantly train a listener to the theta state, he disclosed. So I just read that from the Coast to Coast website, and I did actually listen to the show, and it was quite powerful. It was a really good show. Quite a few things kind of rung true for me in my life. It was also what Peter Sterling did was actually he sold all of his possessions, which I did. He got a van, which I did, and he went to live in the hills and mountains of Sedona all by himself. And that was my dream. That was, a kind of a plan, but I never made it that far. I almost died the first night of heat exhaustion in the van itself. So the next day I bought a fan and a vent and tried to make it more inhabitable. So I only lasted a few days before I started sleeping in a friend's business at night. That was then. So it does really appeal to me. I was going to sculpt, because I do enjoy to sculpt onto clay, onto glass goblets of sorts, and then I would bake them in a regular oven and sell my work. I was actually selling my work in New Hope, in is that New Hope, Pennsylvania? I think it's just over the border, Pennsylvania, on the Delaware River there. And I used to sell that years ago, but something's kind of been tugging at me to do a bit more sculpting again. So we'll see. But the music that Peter Sterling has on his website is pretty phenomenal, and his story in the actual show is really great. His website is harpmagic.com. It's not a badly put together website, really. I actually did purchase one of his CDs because they're reasonably priced. I went to iTunes and he was listed there, Peter Sterling. So a lot of it rung true. It kind of feels weird because I've not really talked or thought about angels on a much deeper sense. As a past show, I have talked to you about how I have asked for help and received help instantly. And it was just a very synchronistic show, having heard that just a few days ago on August 3rd. So, if you get a chance, go check it out. Like I said, I'm a Coast Insider, and I listen as often as I can. I don't like to listen to everything. Some of the stuff is, doom and gloom subjects, so I just choose not to listen to those, really. But I do listen to the beginning of the shows because they do give interesting subjects and topics throughout the shows. It's just that some belong, as far as I'm concerned, in a different reality than I'm living. So just fantastic. So check it out if and when you can, and I'm sure you'll love it just as much as I did. So again, many years ago, as I'm starting all these shows, I have a bit of a wealth of material really from past shows. And not to say that I had huge followings back then, but it would be good to kind of replay and reuse some of this material where possible. Now, one of the shows was a great show I used to enjoy back then called The Strange But True podcast with, I think it's Philip Keeler in the UK. and I discovered that through iTunes, and I wrote a letter and I sent it in, and he read the letter about some of my experiences. So I don't think I've used this yet in any of my podcasts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double check before I put it here, but I'm going to put this here now for you to listen to. It's only a couple of minutes long, but it belongs in the show because it's the weird phenomena.
Big hello to Andrew. In fact, I'm going to read Andrew's email in a few moments' time. He's on the East Coast of America. He's a relatively new listener, I think. Hello to Darren. Who else is there? There's Rough House. Hi to you. Someone called William, aka Billy. In fact, he used to be an old school friend, did Billy. Steve, that's our reporter, Steve and Joe. If you want to add Steve, go to my website, myspace.com/Phil Keeler. Click Steve in my friends and add him. He'll love to be on your space, I'm sure. Wesley, hi to Wesley. He's a radio presenter, I think, a fellow one like me. So anyway, let's go back to... Is it James? No, Andrew, I was telling you about. And he's sent me in a very, very long email. So I'll just click there now. Here we go. And hey presto. Okay, Andrew, who's in America, he says, I moved from Bristol in 1992 to be with my then girlfriend. We got married and bought a house, had a child, and it all fell to bits, really. Always knew I would live in America, though, and my son and I get along great, although we live apart. I did have my very own podcast for a while, but had to end it as, it is a time-consuming passion of which I do not have too much right now. I'm dying to kick it back into gear. That's good news. But for right now, I listen to the likes of your show. It's the accent also makes me feel at home more than these accents I hear around me all day long. In my life, he says, I've had out-of-body experiences, countless in fact. I always feel blown walking out-of-body experiences whereby I can see from tops of buildings while out and about in the street. When I was about 20 or so. That's amazing. I was laid in bed one night in my apartment, second floor up. I had lived there for a year and knew the place very well. I knew all the creaks and the squeaks. And one night when I was about 21, while laying in bed, I heard what could only be described as someone outside or near the brick wall. I only say someone because it sounded more like feet, almost with a claw-like sound that would be the last thing you would hear as the foot hit the wall. With each stomp, drag and scrape I heard, it just kept getting closer and closer to the level I was living at. It went on for about 40 seconds or so, just slow, methodical. What I was convinced by that point was something walking up the outside of the building. I was scared out of my skin as nothing I could think of matched what I was hearing. Then as I got really, really close to the outside of my window, the noises stopped. Now whether it was simply me or who knows what, but I just felt though I was being watched. I pulled the bed sheets over my head and certainly laid there, almost trying not to breathe. I have not ever been quite so scared in all my life. I have seen enough in my life and experienced enough that you just never know. I feel my nan and sometimes my gramps around me, often when I'm creating things or good times are around, almost as though I feel the hugs and warmth. It's amazing. Actually, I felt that. In fact, quite a few people who've emailed me have mentioned that they've, I don't know, when someone close to you dies or even a family friend, you sometimes feel them around you, don't you? And that happened to me with my grandparents and a lady who was probably one of my best friends who died recently. and I often feel her around me, so I can actually see and understand what this guy Andrew is going through there. So he says he feels his grandparents around him. He says, I wrote my first experiences in a partly completed book I have, so pardon the long pasting here, but you might find it useful. We won't go into reading that, but I mean, he sounds like a very fascinating person. Maybe we might, if I can get it sorted, we might link up with you in America and do a short interview with you for Strange But True. So I'm going to say something completely different for Strange But True Radio. That would be great. Okay, onwards and upwards. Let's have a look at what's happening in Strange But True news.
I don't want to keep on recording, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the show here this time around, and as the shows move forward, I'm going to get down a better feel for the types of subjects and what I should be talking about. Also, feel free to drop me a line or to contact me on the Facebook group page, Inner Flame, Ascension Symptoms, Peacekeepers group, or you can send me an email, info@innerfla.me. That's Inner Flame. That's a hard address. Just contact me on Facebook. Tell me what you want to hear or talk about. And again, at some point in the near future, I will be working out a way so that I'll be able to seamlessly talk to you or a few of you at once, and we'll get a good show put together, and we'll use the audio to put up in the podcast for everyone to download and listen to. And before you know it, we'll be millions strong. So anyway, but thank you for your time. Thank you for taking precious time out of your lives to listen. And I think what I'm going to have to do is get a little notebook and write down the subjects, because I've actually found this show this week quite hard to put together, when in essence there's so much that's being talked about on the Facebook group page that it should actually be very simple to put together. So that's it. An end of another show. Show 4, technically 5. Number 4 was just the promo that I recorded, and hopefully you don't think that was too over the top. I'll probably end the show with that this week, but as time goes by, I'll be able to fill in more bumper music and the little audio stingers here and there to help promote and to separate the subjects. That's it from me. Love and peace and light and all that good stuff to everyone else out there that's listening, and I'll be with you again soon, before you know it. You're listening to The Inner Flame with host Andrew Jones. Welcome to the show.
I was all by myself. I'd fallen out of the boat and I was drowning. Then out of nowhere, 2 strong hands picked me up and plopped me back in my boat. I was saved. I was saved by an angel.
Please throw away your extra baggage. It will not be required. Put your trays in the upright position and move your seat backs forward. Make yourself ready for ascension and relax.
The light's amazing. It's the most beautiful light I have ever seen.